Hey, welcome to the podcast. We're glad you're here. Today's podcast episode is going to be topical. This is where we talk through things that we're experiencing and working through. So, number one thing that we're going to talk about today is remote sales killing your sales numbers. Is remote work killing your sales numbers? Now, is this a true statement or is this not a true statement? That's what we're going to discuss today. So, I don't know. You have had a lot of interviews. We've diagnosed this a lot because the majority of our sales career has been remote.
Yes, correct.
So some would say that we might actually be biased more one way than another. But when I look at it, when we first learned sales, there was aspects of it that were remote, but they were not because we were in person, but the sales part was remote. So there's a lot of different ways that you could break it down. And then the last, I would say 24 plus months, we have been very, very heavily, not only remote in sales, but remote in location. We're not meeting out. I mean, the podcast we meet together, but we're not. Does that make sense?
100%. And I think that there's more data specifically on remote work now than ever because this little thing that happened in 2020 called COVID, where everybody had to work from home.
And what was that again?
It wasn't real, first of all.
Just don't ban us. Don't shadow ban us. It's just for fun.
But during the pandemic, there was not just in the sales, industry, but in just about any type of job or career or industry you can think of, a lot of people worked remote. And so now there's a lot of data on the advantages and disadvantages of remote work. In fact, one of the things I wanted to talk about is we were doing some research for this, which is new for us.
Yeah.
We were doing a little bit of research and studying, and we talked to some sales professionals that we work with and looked up some stuff online. What were you going to say?
It's just so hard because I want to go into be like, so there's this thing called the internet. And in the internet, we ask it questions and then it gives us answers. And then it's like, dear God, amazing.
This is, it's wild.
Wild to research, which is so funny because I also, before you get into this brilliant statistic, and actually I'm very excited about you reading this. Also, there's this amazing book called Lying with Numbers or
with statistics.
Lying with statistics.
How to lie with statistics.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it's so funny because we're about to give a statistic, but I want to set this up. This company that did this survey, we have been working with for almost 5 years now. They're extremely trusted. We love them. I mean, being in the industry that we're in, we have to kind of know a lot of different softwares, CRMs, yada, yada, yada. But this one company, honestly, I mean, they have got their stuff together. They're very highly well respected and trusted. I don't think they're driven by one way or another on any of this stuff. So it's really good data. So anyway, that's the setup for it.
So this is a survey from HubSpot. And it involved over 1,000 sales professionals that shed light on the effectiveness of remote work. So while 36% found selling remotely easier, 21% found it more challenging, and 43% saw no impact. However, 46% believed remote selling is less effective than in person, highlighting the crucial element in sales that might be lost remotely. Despite this, CRM users and those in the organization using a flywheel model reported easier sales remotely, indicating technology and customer experience models could influence remote sales effectiveness. So I found that really interesting. I also think that the fact that there was a handful of people that basically said that they found it more challenging, and we're going to dive into that because we even pulled salespeople with companies that we work with and sales pros that we train that sell remote, and basically just ask them, what do you think of the benefits, the negatives? What are some of the strategies that you use as a sales professional to maintain your performance when you are working remote? And one of the main things that came up was a lot of them felt that there was a hard time having a balance between remote work or between work life and working and life and having that balance.
But before we get into it, I do want to say this because there are 3 negatives that we found to be like a common denominator when you interviewed those guys. And I want you to, because some of these people, you're going to quote, and I think it's good. We won't say anybody's names just to protect people, but it was very valuable information. And we found 3 common denominators that are challenges and 3 common denominators that are setting it up to be valuable. Here is what I think is really important. So I'm connected to a fund, a group of people, investors on the commercial real estate side. And the type of buy box that they have is very certain and specific. And one of those things that's really not in that buy box is office buildings. But my time when I got to do just a little bit of sales for Manny Koshbin, where he loves buying a commercial property where, a value add, and especially an office building that has low vacancy, and then he can add, get it to 70% or 80% capacity, and then he'll sell it, right? So you're seeing this actually even in the commercial real estate. I think there is $3 trillion on bank books right now, $3 trillion worth of commercial real estate property. I mean, that's just bonkers numbers to think about how much is on banknotes, basically, in property. And what you're seeing in that is people are trying to decide, are we going back to work? Now, 4 years later, I guess let's say 3, because if you look up all 2020 and what happened. So 3 years later, people are saying, are we going back to work still? And you're seeing such a wide range, and we're going to get into that, of yes, you should, or no, you shouldn't, or it should be a hybrid. In our industry, in our field, we are seeing that they want it, but it also is creating a huge need. So let's get into that. So a common challenge that we're seeing in this is basically work-life separation, basically a difficulty in separating professional and personal life, leading to extended work hours. So what I'd like you to do is, I don't want to just spit out some random thought, but why did we come up with that a common denominator?
Well, we came up with that is because after asking probably over 24 different salespeople, that was literally, and I asked all of them separately. It's not like I did a group poll or anything. And that came up consistently across the board.
Give some
being
examples.
Able to, a great example is one of the guys that I asked is he's married, and he said one of the benefits of working from home is he can get off of a sales call and he can go hang out with his wife and daughter and everything. But in the same hand, what that does is mentally, he's noticed that puts him into, dad mode, and then he's got to jump on another call. And having that balance. And then another individual that
So that's not, because I want to make sure we're talking about negatives right now, not the benefits.
Right. That's
the negative for that married guy was that he's having to context switch
between different things. So he's having to go from, I'm hanging out with my kids in dad mode, this is great. And then he's having to get back on a sales call when his brain is somewhere else. His brain is not focused on being in the room or being focused on that call with the prospect.
Okay, can I interject my personal experience in this moment on that? I have noticed that as well, to the point to where I'm blessed enough that within our house setup, my office is somewhat isolated, even though it's in the context. It's not like an office above a garage over some other thing. But it's separate enough that I can isolate myself, but still I've had to establish a door closed, door open policy. Right. If it's door closed, it's like, don't even knock, because I could be on a call. I could not be. I could be teaching and training. I could not be. I could be doing, deep work. And I've noticed that if kids see me come down even for lunch, it's like,
oh, dad's here.
Like, are we about to hang and party or do I get it? But a negative is this: if I go down now with because of their age, now they're like almost timid. Like, are you working right now? And then I have to go down and almost like express to them, hey, I can communicate with you. And so I'm like, okay, I don't want that, because now they're doing such a great job of being like, okay, dad, because Allie supported that. She's like, hey, when he's up here, because we homeschool. So when he's up here, he has to work, and we separate it. So that way, I don't know who taught me this, but somebody taught me this. I don't take my computer downstairs anymore. because if I'm downstairs, that means I could work at the table or I could do this. So now I'm trying to even shut that down to where I don't even bring anything. So if I am downstairs, I am available. And now it's at the point where I had to create such boundaries because it was creating such a negative. Are you experiencing that?
Oh, 100%. And one of the things that came up is people consistently talking about being able to create that separation where there really wasn't. It's like they work in the same place, they live in the same place, and it just all meshes together as one. One of the things that I do, and you've probably noticed this with me, is whenever I'm working, I make sure that I actually I wouldn't say I get dressed up, but there's specific clothes that I wear when I'm working. I wear, like yesterday we were on a call and I have a button down shirt or a polo. I tuck my shirt in. I'll wear khakis. I'd say probably for the last like 3 or 4 months, I tuck my shirt in if ever I'm doing work stuff. And so like physically, I change my appearance because it makes me feel a certain way. And mentally, I know, okay, I've got my shirt tucked in, I got my polo on, it's time to work. And then when I clock out, metaphorically speaking, I change my clothes. I put some shorts on. I have a sweater that I love to wear from Happy Dad sweater. Every single time in the evening, I put that sweater on, I put some shorts on, and now mentally, I'm telling myself, hey, I'm in dad mode. I can hang out and chill. So for me personally, that has helped, is actually doing something physically.
You know what's crazy is we're talking about our experiences post realization, post revelation of like, because it means that we were hitting a wall. Because when we were in full-time sales together, right, and we were at this one company, we were able to go. I had the commute to help me. I had the separation. I had the which kind of is the next challenge of culture building. We didn't have to worry about that as much because you had all these people in a sales pit. Personally, I'm actually of the mind, I think the sales pit is very powerful. If I had a sales team that was in a sales pit versus a sales team that was remote, I still believe I could get more work, more. I could help those sales professionals hit their goals faster if we were all working together, because I think there is power in unity, right? I'm not saying that remote sales teams are horrible or bad, because we have tons of remote sales teams. Yep. We got one remote sales team right now with one of our clients. They only got 4 people, and they are outperforming a team of 15 or 20, right? Right. So it's like, I know that it is powerful, but there is something, I think you interviewed somebody, and you don't have to say their name. They were talking about the negatives of culture building and all that, because what I'm seeing is, and I just want to read this, the remote setting, it's complicating building a strong culture and maintaining effective communication. You know what I mean? And even what we were just saying were things that we had to put in place, parameters, to make sure that even with our own families and our own kids, that we were able to be successful remote. Right. And if we look back at the HubSpot thing, it ended, that quote, and maybe in the show notes we can drop that link or something, or even show a little picture of it. But even how it ended was the companies that were able to do this successfully had what? Great flywheel, great communication.
Systems.
So basically, it works with the right parameters. But here's where did you have a quote on the culture side? I think it was
on the.
No.
Have one on the.
Because one of them that I read, and I don't go through, but anyways, it doesn't matter. One of them that I read was the camaraderie was missing. It was feeling like, oh, we're not getting to laugh, hang. Because think about it. How many times do we go to lunch with somebody? Even if, you brought your lunch, you all sit around a table. It's like, yo, hey, I'm off this time. I don't have a call here. Great. You want 15 minutes, want to, shoot the breeze, chat, whatever, just sit and eat. There was some type of camaraderie. Or if we all knew we were going to pull a late night and bust it, we brought food up. Or we'd go and drink. Yeah, and drinks. And you go out somewhere. So it's like, I'm seeing with some of these in their responses was like, oh, I don't feel as connected. Yeah. Obviously, they love being at home because it's easier, but they don't feel as connected.
Yeah. I think specifically for the sales industry, that is extremely important is having the camaraderie and the community. Not saying it's applicable to other departments within your company, whether it's, the fulfillment or marketing or finance, but specifically with sales, when you are dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, and you're dealing with people telling you no, and you're having to grind a ton, doing it with other people, being able to laugh with other people, being able to build that camaraderie, that's huge. And I mean, I remember when we were working on the sales floor, that energized me. Like that was a huge part of getting up every single morning. I was excited to go to the office because I was going to go shoot the shit with my friends and hang out, and we had a blast together. I'm still like very close with a bunch of those guys that I worked with on the sales floor. We built really long-term relationships. And when you do something remote, it's not impossible, but it is more difficult to do those things. And you were talking about like communicating as well. Oh, it was so much easier to go walk to the next cubicle or the person next to me and saying, "Hey, I heard you on that call. How did you do that?" Or "I just ran into this issue." Like you create an environment where people are consistently coaching and training and helping each other. Versus remote, Slack's great, but it's not the same thing as sitting across from someone.
And you have to be way more on top of it with Slack. You have to have really dialed in communication. One of these quotes here, he said, the professional challenge in detaching from the work and being able to stay engaged. The other one, there's less human interaction and understanding of company directives. When you're not in person, you can't feel it as much because it's not staring you in the face. You have to go and find that SOP. You have to go and post it up or print it out and put it in your little home office or something because you don't feel the company culture and directives moving you in that direction. Another one, and I'll mention him because I know it won't bother them. Brilliant agency 253 Media, right? This owner, they're growing, they're scaling, and he's still doing some of the sales, but he even said that it's the stress from potentially reduced employee engagement. So not only does he feel it as a sales professional, but he's also feeling it as a business owner of like, okay, are we reduced in the company's, engagement? Do people feel apart? Why does that matter? You get a lot of guys be like, yeah, I don't have to go anywhere. I could be at home. I could take this call on the beach and da-da-da-da-da and all this other lies. But I get why people like it. But the problem is I don't think they realize the power of community. They don't realize the power of what it means to have that camaraderie and work through each other. Also, people are like, great, now I don't have to see so-and-so all the time. Karen over there, God, I just have to deal with her, crap all the time. And you're like, yeah, but actually dealing with Karen's stuff is good for you because it's teaching you how to communicate. It's teaching you how to problem solve. It's teaching you how to get along with people that you don't agree with. God forbid, news flash, you can actually get along with people you don't agree with. Some of my closest friends are freaking, diehard left liberals. Right. And they're just super excited about that stuff. And I still love them and I still respect them. I don't agree with them. I don't see eye to eye with them. But to think that as another human being, I couldn't still honor them. I couldn't still respect them. I still couldn't laugh with them.
Right.
I mean, I'm married to a woman who is the best woman in the world that I could have ever married. And I can name 1,000 things we don't agree on. What is that what love is? Is that what community is? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what frustrates me about this whole remote environment is that I feel like the benefits of remote has a double-edged sword and it's killing also the benefits of being together.
Well, and not just that, but one of the guys that I talked to is a sales manager. He's managed teams that range from 50 to over 100 people. And he said himself that he has seen on the remote side of things efficiency go down, and that being in person, from his experience in the teams that he's managed, being in person is he's seen the most efficiency. And I think that's because
wait. So he said being in person, he's seeing the most efficiency.
Yes.
And I think I know who you're talking about. They've managed a ton of remote things.
Oh, we've managed a ton, but there is something to be said he mentioned when it comes to being in person with other people. And I think also as an individual, when you show up to do a specific job and then you focus and you get it done and then you go home versus when you work at home and your office is at home, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I'll do that later. I'm going to go downstairs and make lunch or hang out or play some video games, and then I'm going to go back up. Or if you're working remote and you're hanging out in Bali, which shout out to you if you are. Great for
Shout
you.
out
If
to you.
if you're taking calls remote and you're one of those
Playing with tigers.
remote high ticket that's phenomenal.
Why are we
But
not in Bali just closing deals?
because we have families and we found I think a deeper meaning to life instead of getting our hair braided on the beach.
I think that transitions us nicely into the last challenge that we have seen as a common denominator against our polls and the studies that we're finding, which is, and we actually touched on it, a need for greater discipline, right? So we have seen that remote work requires a higher level of self-discipline to stay productive and meet performance goals without in-person oversight. Meaning that for us to hit our own KPIs as business owners, we still do our own sales and all of that. For us to hit our own KPIs, we had to put in such strict parameters that we could not just, I guess you could, and all of a sudden we wouldn't have been able to achieve it. But it was the parameters, that discipline that said, no, if we're going to be in this environment, this is what we need to be able to succeed in that environment. I am seeing from the quotes from the people, and let's think about the other sales teams that, to a degree, we are helping manage. When you see a performance of a sales professional go down, what is it directly related to? Them not hitting their numbers, them not hitting their KPIs, their metrics. Prime example, all of a sudden sales professionals starts doing really great. What most of the time, what do they do if they're new? They start coasting. They're like, oh, I got it. I've figured it out, because they have forgotten the thing that got them to the success was all the discipline and the hard work. So they take off the gas, right? They naturally start braking and slowing down because now they're not doing the same discipline routine, right? So now when we start looking at it, why aren't you doing well? Why do you seem detached? You're not responding on Slack, right? Or communication, whatever, Asana, you're not turning in the things that you need to turn in. You're not engaging the way you need to engage. Well, why is that? Well, let's look at it. Oh, okay. All of these parameters that you had that got you there, you're not doing them anymore. And you're seeing that not just with the teams that we're working with, you're seeing it across the board. Yeah. Example, HubSpot, what did they say? Healthy parameters, successful marketing is what's keeping people engaged. How have you seen, I guess I'm looking at your perspective because of what you do inside of our business and who you're connected to. How are you seeing that lack of discipline or discipline working in favor right now?
The lack of discipline working in favor?
No, the lack, or let me rephrase that. I said that wrong. Like those that have, talk to me about what you're seeing, especially within like the SDR side, those who are disciplined and those who are not, and seeing it from a remote working place.
I mean, those who are disciplined, hands down, and I wouldn't say just disciplined, but disciplined and consistent, will outperform those that just have like sporadic performances. The ones that I've seen that have done really well are the ones who they're communicative in Slack. You ask them something, they're going to hit you back right away. They start their day at the same time. They have a little bit of a routine. It doesn't have to be crazy, but they wake up at the same time every single day. They do some type of exercise, even if it's like a couple sit-ups and push-ups, versus the ones that wake up and they throw a K-cup in their Keurig, take their coffee, jump on the meeting, and they haven't even showered yet. And they're like, yeah, we're ready for the day. Yeah.
I won't officially go on the record and say that K-cup or Keurig is not real coffee. And I
just upgraded my coffee game. We had K-cup for probably 2 years.
So you haven't been drinking coffee for 2 years. What were you drinking? Brown water. You might as well have been drinking tea.
It was, it wasn't terrible. I got some Black Rifle coffee, so I felt better because,
This is why our sales numbers are down, because your coffee game is so out of control. Listen, if
No,
you
we
drink
got a really nice one. We got a
Nespresso,
no, like a Breville coffee maker. It
like
has
what I
like
have.
no, it's not that nice. It's not that nice. But it's
I know
like
how much you
legit
get paid.
coffee.
Why did you not get a nice one? You get paid plenty fine.
Because I got it for free from my in-laws. They were getting a new coffee maker, and they're like, "Do you want this one?" And I was like, "Sure." We'll
You
get
don't do
rid of it."
pour over, French press,
So I used to. I used to do what's the one where you have like little the
pod,
no, not
Keurig,
pod. You like warm up like a kettle,
kettle,
and then you pour it over.
pour over.
Yeah, I used to do one of those every morning. It just takes too long. I don't have enough patience.
What
for
do you
that.
mean by it takes too long? This is about a 3 to 5 minute process. Do you also microwave your Pop-Tarts instead of putting them in the toaster?
Well, I don't eat Pop-Tarts.
Well, obviously not anymore, but I'm saying when you did it, I mean, are you that such of an instant gratification person that you can't do 3 minutes on? You don't enjoy that?
No, because I have to keep like in the little like funnel thing that you like pour over. You have to keep pouring coffee. Like I have to sit there for 3 to 5 minutes. Versus a K cup, I put it in there and I can forget it. Go do something else and come back and my coffee's ready.
How much do you microwave y'all's dinners versus putting them in the oven?
Well, I don't microwave it. I mean,
Do you even cook? Let's go there. Do you even cook, or is literally Kay running everything for you right now? Does Kay just run literally the whole entire show?
I mean, I don't cook a ton right now. I mean, my go-to meal to hit the macros that I need is like cottage cheese and smoked salmon, and put that in a cup. I like
just go.
Oh man, I like things that are instant.
Man, this coffee has nothing to do with if you were working. You know what? Maybe it is. Maybe because we're working remotely,
I've become lazier.
You become lazier, and you have no one helping you make good decisions. Because at an office, we could bust your chops a whole lot more about the crappy coffee you drink. Instead, now it's just exposing.
Used to when I lived across the street from the office that we worked at.
I remember this.
I would only get because we lived in an apartment complex, and I would only get the free coffee that they had at the apartment. So I'd wake up every morning and walk
Didn't you buy a
over.
membership to Panera Bread so that you could get
I did.
free coffee every day?
I did, yeah. So this is a life hack for those of you that are
No,
watching.
this is not a life hack.
You can pay. I think it was like $10 a month. You pay a membership at Panera Bread, and you get discounts on all of their food and stuff. But you get one free cup of coffee every day. And so I would go in there and get my free cup of coffee. And I mean, if you go to Starbucks, it's $5-10 for a coffee. You can get like I just get black because I'm not fancy. I'm not going to get any of that fancy stuff. But I would get a black cup of coffee at Starbucks. It's still like $4. So if I go there 3 times, I've paid for my membership. And I get discounts on all the meals.
I'm
at
so
Panera.
torn right now because not only are we so far off topic, but I'm torn right now because I respect you and I don't respect you all in the same sentence. I respect the hustle and I'm like, good job, Jake. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You found a way to hack the system. You whooped it. Way to go. Then the other problem is because I value, again, it's based off of what I value. Somebody who doesn't value coffee, right, might be like, what the hell are they even talking about? But because I value what great coffee tastes like and I can taste the difference, I'm also like, how can you not taste the difference, right?
I can, but I also...
Okay, so when you go to the coffee shops, because you love working at a coffee shop, the noise doesn't bother you. You love a coffee shop. You love the sound of it. Okay, so when you go to, here in Nashville, we have amazing... I think we have really good coffee. You got Crema, you got Honest, you got Elroy, you got all these great solid coffee. You're telling me that cup of black coffee, you can't taste the difference from the cup of coffee from the mud water at Keurig that you're putting out.
No. I can taste the difference.
You can.
I can 100% can taste the difference.
Okay.
Here's what it comes down to. Whenever I get this is I'm going to connect all of this. Whenever I get in trouble as a little kid, my parents would ask me, Jacob, because they called me Jacob.
That's a
Everyone in my
good
family
name.
calls me Jacob. They're like, Jacob, why did you do that? And I said, well, I looked at the potential punishment I would get for doing the thing, and I weighed the consequences, and I decided that if I did the thing, the consequence of getting punished would still make it worth it. So I was like, I'll do the thing anyways, and when I get in trouble, I'm okay with that. So the way this relates back to coffee is, yes, I can taste the difference, but I'd rather save the money,
I get it.
save my couple bucks. So I'm weighing, yes, the coffee isn't as great, but I'd rather save the money than get the great cup of coffee
Ready?
every time.
Watch this. This is where we're framing off right now. If people would take what you just said while working remote and they would say, is what I want greater than what I have? Then whether you're remote or in person, you would be able to accomplish and achieve what you want and perform at your highest capability because you're outweighing the cost of action versus the cost of inaction, opportunity costs, right? If sales professionals, whether they're working remote or not, if they would just simply say, okay, I want to make X amount of dollars this month, or I want to achieve X amount of goals, or I want to, be top of the leaderboard for the next 6 months straight and just annihilate everybody, whatever everybody, our fuel sources, right? So whatever that fuel source is. And then you would say, what is it going to take to accomplish that desired outcome? I honestly don't think it really does matter in person or out person. And here's why. Looking at remote sales, and we're wrapping up this episode with a nice bow. If you know that community is powerful and you would accept that, then you would build that in to your workday, or you would build that into your daily routine, because your whole entire day is not about work unless you are Alex Hormozy and you love that. So great. I'm not knocking any of that, but I'm saying you would build into your day. Not only do I need to commune, with humans here, I need to be able to focus here. I need to work out here. I love on our calendars, we both have, now that we can label the colors, we both have non-negotiables, right? Yeah. And it's like, I know if I see a non-negotiable on Jake, it's like, I don't even jack with that because I know how important that is to you. And it's like, yeah, we're not putting anything over that. That is a non-negotiable. I believe that remote or in person. Do I like in person? 100%. Do I like remote? Yeah. Labor goes down. We don't have all these expenses. We can grow as a business. For us, think about how fast we're able to grow because of remote. There are benefits for days that we could talk about the, the benefits of being remote and how much it's saving us as a business and how much we're able to increase our profit margins, yada, yada. But if I leverage them both, and I'm intentional with how I put them into. So the things that are when you are not remote, community, camaraderie, unity, understanding where the company is going. Being as a business owner, it's like, I want to see you put events on. I want to see you, even if it's just like, hey, guys, if we hit our sales team numbers this month, we're going to go down to a certain amazing facility. You could go to Nashville, you could go to Florida, you could go somewhere in, California or something like that and say, we're going to all work together and the company's going to pay for it if we hit X numbers. Yep. We're still going to work next week, but now we're going to be doing it at this Airbnb. Everybody have their own little separate room. We'll still work, but now for the next 2 days, we'll be able to have dinners together. We'll be able to have that community. That one event a year, if you were able to do that as a business owner, you know how far that would go? It would send such a jolt of energy and passion and light a spark in your team that they could go back and be as productive remote as they were if they're in person. But it does take intentionality. It does take discipline. It does take having non-negotiables.
Yeah. I like how you looped all that in, man.
Bro.
Basically, it all comes down to, what is it that you want and what are you willing to pay, and being honest with yourself. If you want a specific goal, you can make remote work. Remote works really, really well. There are benefits to that. And there's a ton of benefits to working in an office as well. But what is it that you want and what are you willing to pay?
Yeah. And if you want great coffee, are you willing to pay the price? And if you're not willing to pay the price, why the hell are you drinking coffee anyways? That is going to conclude this episode. And we are so excited that you are watching. We're so excited that you're listening. Honestly, we probably do these podcasts more for us than for y'all. And that's okay because it's therapeutic for us. And I love being in person with you and connecting with you as opposed to seeing you over Zoom or Meet. Get a Panera membership. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for engaging and listening. The only thing we ever ask is that you would just share it. If you found value in it, or you know somebody that maybe they need to pick me up, they want to laugh, they want to make fun of us because they think that coffee's stupid, you should share this episode and share any episode. So until next time, as always, stay sharp.